So you just got sentenced to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years to life in prison, state or federal prison. And you've never been to prison before, and you don't know what to do. You're going through a range of emotions. You're losing your family, possibly forever. You are losing your freedom, possibly forever, or for a short period of time, and you've never had your freedom taken from you before. You don't know what to do. You're going through a lot of anxiety, fear, confusion, anger. These are the different types of emotions that can overcome a person who's been sentenced to prison for the first time, especially. Now, in prison, you get a lot of people who are what they call convicts. They've been in and out of the system their whole life. So one of the first things that you're going to notice as someone who's never been to prison before is you're going to notice how comfortable some people are with being in jail and in prison. You know, you're in jail now, you know, you're waiting to get transferred to the state prison or the federal prison, depending on where you've been convicted and where your crime was occurred at. And you're noticing that there are a lot of individuals who seem mighty comfortable in jail. They laughing, they joking. They seem like they're just so comfortable. They got soups. You see and notice that they got a locker full of, you know, sweets, Snickers bars, you know, honey buns, soups, cigarettes, whatever it is. I don't know how it is now, but back in the day, you could buy cigarettes. So people had lockers filled up with cartons of cigarettes or Bugle cigarettes, you know, the ones that you roll up, coffee is filled up. It seems like they are just really comfortable and you can't quite comprehend what's going on. Why are these individuals so comfortable and they seem like they're really in their element and you're completely out of your element? The reality is those individuals are in their element. These are career criminals. These are convicts. They've been in and out of jail since they were probably teenagers. They started off in the juvenile system and went all the way into the adult system. This is probably the third, fourth, and in some instances, fifth and sixth time that they've been in prison or jail. So you're going to see a lot of that. Don't be dismayed. Take a deep breath. And this is what you should do if you've never been to prison before. You should mind your business. Rule number 1, mind your business. So they're going to shackle you down. You're going to be on the bus. That, to me, is one of the most nerve-wracking moments that there is, because that's when you have a lot of, you know, it's silent most of the time on the bus. There might be a couple people uttering, but most of the experience that I've seen on bus rides from jail to prison or from prison to prison on the bus ride, what they call a Bluebird, you know, down here in Louisiana, they got that big Bluebird bus, big white bus with the bars wrapped around it. Guard in front, guard in back, and there ain't no music, there ain't no radio, there ain't no air conditioning. It's just a steady humming that diesel engine, do, as you're just trucking along the highway going to your next destination. That's going to be an eerie thing to experience if you've never experienced it before, because you shackled down, and in some instances you shackled to another man that's sitting on the side of you, because the shackles connect. It depends. There's single shackles as well. Shackle from your waist to your legs. Different type of shackle systems, but you're thinking to yourself, man, what have I got myself into? Where am I going? You're nervous. You don't know if you're going to have to fight. You know, you just, like I said, you never been to jail or prison before. You know, you got sentenced from the street, I'm assuming, and you're going up there and you, like I said, you got a range of emotions. That's the main thing that's going to happen at this stage in this period. You're going to go through a range of emotions. You know, like I said, confusion, anger, maybe that this is happening to you because you feel like you got, you know, unjustly sentenced, you know, that you shouldn't have got this sentence. Or maybe you're really innocent. There are select few people in prison who are actually innocent. You know, maybe you're one of them. And I wasn't innocent, but I can only assume that if a person was innocent and they were going to jail, that would be that much more of an emotional roller coaster. Still, you're on the bus, you're on your way to prison, mind your business. Don't start having all kind of conversations with the guy next to you. He might engage you, you know, he might be fresh like you. Never been to jail, fresh fish. You know, so he's probably going to be quiet too. Or he's going to be one of those fresh fish who's asking all kind of questions and you can read his nervousness. You don't want to show your emotions. Keep your emotions in check. That's what I did really good was I kept my emotions in check. You know, when I blew up and got angry, it was just I blew up and got angry. But I didn't let nobody see it usually, you know. Or when I was sad, I did my best to hide it to myself, you know. I tried my, you know, sometimes people could read your face, but you got to do your best to keep that stuff to yourself. You don't want people in your business any kind of way. So now that you're getting to talk to some dude who you don't know what he's in jail for. You don't want to be communicating with anybody. Now you get to the prison and you're going to see they got the gun tower, they got the guards, they talk barking orders at you. Yeah, they're going to bark orders at you and you're going to listen. You may experience some hardcore convicts who are some real straight up knuckleheads and they don't care. And the guards, you might see your first time seeing a guard beat somebody down, you know, because some of these dudes just like to fight the guards. They don't care. They don't listen. They, like I said, they institutionalize. It don't faze them. And then you're like, man, what's going on? You're going to see the guards whoop them up. I remember I seen the guards whoop them up quick, you know. So, and sometimes, you know, in a handful of occasions before the guards get deep, you know, I've seen a guard get taken off guard by an inmate before. So you might see something like that. And then you're going to be like, man, what's going on? Still, keep your composure, keep your cool. Be respectful to the staff in the prison. I'm from the South, so just naturally, I'm a yes, sir, yes, ma'am type of person. No, ma'am, no, sir type of person. Most people in the South are, but if they're intentionally trying to be disrespectful, they're not going to talk like that. So it just depends, but still be respectful as much as you can, because the respect you give in prison is chances are that's going to be the respect you get. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you is you're going to get to a dormitory or you can get to a cell block. And no matter where you at, people are going to start trying to feel you out. From the second you get in jail, I'm not talking about the second you get to the prison. The second you get put in cuffs, everybody's watching you. They're studying you. In jail, in prison, these dudes have mastered psychological warfare. They watch your every single move. So be careful on how you operate. Some of your mannerisms you might have had on the street, some of that stuff is going to have to stay on the street. And if you're doing a long time in prison, well, it's just time to change those mannerisms. You know, you can't let people see your weaknesses. You can't let people know what you're going to, you know, how you are as a person. You got to keep that stuff bottled up. You know, if you believe in God, that's when you pray to God and ask God for your strength. For me, I believed in God. I was a Christian before I went to prison. So I just got closer to my God, Jesus. And I asked him to guide me and help me. And I wasn't always perfect. But if you're going to go to jail, you got to be ready to stay to yourself and mind your business. Do not share all your personal information. You don't want to be telling people about your family. None of that stuff. Now, if you know somebody from the street, that's a plus. But some people come to prison and they never been in this life before, so they don't know a lot of people. And that's another thing you're going to notice. In prison, you looking around like, man, these guys act like they've been knowing each other forever. Well, they have. Because a lot of people in prison been gangsters and been criminals. And so they've been doing this stuff for a long time. And the people that they associate are involved in that lifestyle. So they're going to be in prison with them as well. Don't be dismayed. You know what I mean? That don't mean that automatically you're going to have a rough time because most of the dorm or most of the pod that you're on, you know, everybody seems to know each other and you don't know nobody. Depending on your race, in Louisiana, it's not a white car, a black car, so to speak, but you can intermingle and mix in Louisiana. So, you know, you might be friends with a black guy. You might be friends with a white guy, Spanish, you know, Asian, whatever. There's not a big racial card thing. Now, do races tend to stick together and do whites stick together? Sure, they do. Whites are going to look out for whites if it gets down to it. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. That's the way it always is. Because in general, whites are going to stick together with solid whites. And that's another thing you're going to notice. Let's say you're a white person and you go to prison for the first time. There's going to be different groups of white dudes. There's going to be what I call almost like weaker white guys, more like the victims. And then there's going to be the solid white guys. Be careful who you associate with, because who you associate with, that's how people are going to see you. So just because some white guy and you white comes up to you and they're all friendly and everything, they want to be friends with you, don't mean you should be friends and be, you know, clicking up and chopping up. So they might give you a cigarette. Now, if you smoke a cigarette, you don't know if that dude's a punk. So you don't know where his mouth been, what he been doing. You don't just want to smoke a cigarette after anybody. He might, offer you some coffee. You know what I mean? This dude might be a punk. Punks don't always look like punks in prison. He might be an old punk, who's outside of his prime. So he's an old punk. He's been in prison for 40 years and he looks terrible. He's just an old man, but he's still a punk. So you got to be careful who you associate with. Don't make that mistake. That's a mistake I made when I went to prison. I didn't know. Initially, when I went to the cell block in one of the prisons I went to when I was 19, I didn't know that the dudes I was in the working cell block that I was hanging out with was punks. It wasn't until I got in one of my fights where a dude tried to play me that the solid whites were like, man, say, bro, you handled your business. I said, yeah, bro, I handled my business. They're like, man, we thought you was a lame. I said, lame? Why you thought that? They said, man, them dudes you've been talking to are punks. I didn't know. Nobody schooled me. And that's the thing in Louisiana. You hear about in different places, like in California, they got race cars. On the feds, your people are going to come up to you and give you a lay of the land. In the state prison in Louisiana, and from what I understand, probably in most of the South, you're not going to get that type of treatment. You're just going to figure it out on your own. It's really lone wolf, lone survivor. So you're going to have to, they watching you. Like I said, they watching you. So apparently these dudes, they don't know me. They didn't know me from the street. Now, I knew people in the prison, but at this particular time in the block, in the working cell block, I didn't know none of them dudes, you know what I mean? And they didn't know me from the street yet. So my reputation was people just trying to figure me out, So it was after I got in a fight. And then some of my people that I knew from the street began to hit the compound and they wasn't in the working cell block, began to come to the working cell block too. And, so my, people begin to know me, so now they're like, oh yeah, you so-and-so. Yeah, we cool. Yeah, that's your people. And so it's all good. But I'm telling you, when you go up there, be careful on who you associate with, because who you associate with that's how people are going to see you. Mind your business. Watch who you associate with. Don't share too much personal information. People are always looking for ways to take advantage of you. They will try to take your wife from you. If you got a girlfriend, they will try to take that person from you and try to cross you out and then get connected to that person. They don't care. It's a low down, system. And the people in there is dog eat dog. So you got to be careful on the information you share. Now, the next thing, be willing to fight. You can't go to jail or prison and not fight. You're going to have to fight. I know you're going to be thinking like, I just want to get out. Sure, everybody in there wants to get out. But you still got 5, 10, 15, 25 years to life to do. And like I said, if you got 20 plus years, that's a long time before you get out. So you're going to have to handle your business. Man, if you got 2 years, you don't want to live in there for 2 years and you can't even wake up every day and eat your food because somebody's going to take your food from you, man. Just get in the fights, get the fights out the way. Just because you fight don't mean that it's going to be easy, but it's better to fight because the more you fight and the more you handle your business, the more people are going to respect that and notice it, So fighting is just part of being in prison. Now, of course, you don't want to have to take the fight to the next level where you got to basically knock somebody's brains out, because then, depending on the circumstances, now you're doing the rest of your life in prison because you did what you had to do. It easily could have happened that a bunch of times for me, because I got in my share of fights, and I know there was one time specifically I was about to hit somebody in the head with something dangerous, and situation just turned, and so it just, it was blessed that I didn't have to go there, but I mean, my decision was I already went there. I was doing it, but once again, I believe in, my relationship with God, and I believe he guided and protected me in some supernatural ways that I can't understand. But what I'm saying is when you get up to prison, be willing to get in a fight. You have to fight. You have to defend yourself. Don't let people steal from you. And a lot of times, especially if you're young, they're going to try you to see if they can make you a punk. That's right. In prison, they trying weaker, especially prettier dudes, especially if you're a white dude and you young and you just don't, you look like you don't look masculine or something or whatever. You look soft. They're going to try you. They're going to try to make a punk out of you. So you're going to have to handle your business. Get in your fight, stick them up, hit them with a lock, whatever. I don't know what it is, but you just got to do something. You got to take you're going to have to take it to the next level, so to speak. Another thing, when you get up there, even the people who you get cool with, you got to be careful too, because everybody is looking out for themselves. in reality. Yes, you're going to come across some people that you can really trust, but at the end of the day, a lot of people got family that they're trying to get home to, and they will throw you under the bus. So you have to be careful on who you trust too. There's going to be people in there who are trustworthy, but most are not trustworthy. You'll figure out who's who, and that's the next thing. Be observant. Constantly pay attention to your surroundings, because everybody's observing you. You should be observing everybody. And look, people are going to figure out some of the things about you. Hopefully, they're figuring out that, hey, look, that's a solid dude. He's going to handle his business. He don't want no trouble. Also, he's trying to do his time. He's trying to get involved in something good and do his time and not get involved in anything. They're gonna respect that eventually, And that's another thing. Find something to get involved in. Once you get situated, it's gonna take you a while. It's gonna take you some weeks, even some months, to really get situated and comfortable to figure out the lay of the land, depending on where you're at. Find something positive to get involved in. Stay out of the negative. No drugs, no gambling, no punks. That's the main three. Back when I was doing time, they said stay away from those, And so if you can stay away from those things, you up your chances of having a more peaceful incarceration and eventually, hopefully, to be released, and you don't never have to go back to it. And while you in there, find something good to do, like read books that will improve you in the future. Don't be so stuck in the moment. Think, I got a 10-year sentence. 10 years is a long time, I get it. But you're going in and you're 20 years old. You're 21 years old. You're going to get out at 30, 31. You still have a long life ahead of you. Or maybe you go in and you're in your 20s and you're not going to get out till your 50s. But when you get out in your 50s, you still got to figure out how to survive in society. So you need to start reading books that will help improve you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Work out, keep your body in shape, try to eat as healthy as you can. And try to keep the mind positive. Don't get caught up in nothing crazy. I know it's hard because I was caught up in some crazy stuff here and there. But over time, I begin to understand some of the stuff that I had to let stay in the past. You know what I mean? I can't be this person no more. I have to improve who I am as a person. I have to change my mindset if I'm going to be successful in society. And ultimately, it took more than one time. I had to go to prison twice for me to get my mind right completely. The first time when I got out, I was, I went in as a teenager. I was in a state prison at 19 years old. And so by the time I got back on the streets, I was in my early 20s and I wasn't ready for it. And I went back to prison less than a year later. And by the time I got out the next time, I haven't been back since. I've been home going on 20 years. I have not been arrested. I have not been involved in anything. I have not been in trouble. I've constantly improved myself from that moment on. And that's what you have to do. And it's going to take one day at a time when you're in prison. Find ways to do it one day at a time. And it may require letting the street stay on the street. That's another decision I had to make the second time. I looked in the mirror and said, I put me in here. I'm not going to be beholden to anybody on the street, meaning my family. I'm not going to burden them with sending me stuff. Get creative. I was an artist and I could write. I'm more intelligent than a lot of people in jail. And that's not bragging on myself. It just is. I can write letters for people. And so I would do that and I would get paid soups. I would do artwork. Valentine's Day is a big deal. Birthdays, Christmas, Easter. People want to send cards to their loved ones to express their love. And I would do art. Or sometimes people wanted tattoos drawn. I didn't do tattoos, but I would draw. And I would draw pictures for people, and so that was my hustle, or I would write for people, so I did a lot of writing. I love to read and write. And so you find something to do. Other people do other stuff, to pass their time, Did I gamble? Sure, I did, but I didn't do it for a long time. I got in and out of it. I did it to enjoy it. I did it on the sports tickets and all that, but trying to pass my time. That's early on when I was still in the chaos, But I began to change that thought process. I realized I can enjoy watching sports. I didn't have to bet on them. I can just enjoy the competition, and I didn't play sports in jail because I don't know how to play sports, but I enjoyed watching them and studying it. So you can find good stuff to be involved in. So be careful what you involve yourself in, and don't pull your family in your mess. You put yourself there likely, and it's up to you to finish your time like a man. And when you get out, you can be the man that you need to be. Hopefully your family's still there. If not, you'll have another opportunity to start another family. Hopefully you don't lose your loved ones. Some people do. That's a reality. But prison is a place that's filled with a bunch of crazy emotions. The number two emotions are fear and anger. Those two emotions are probably the most thick and prevalent things, fear and anger, because people go through those two a lot. But there's sadness, there's grief, there's even joy in prison. There's times to be happy, there's times to laugh, there'll be relief. There's times when the tension's not so bad. Sometimes the tension's really bad. It just depends. So when you go to prison, keep in mind, stay to yourself, mind your business, don't share all your personal information. You may have to fight. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You know, if it's not nothing that's too crazy, chances are it's just going to be a fight, and that's all it's going to be. You know, there are instances I've seen where fights get taken to the next level and it becomes life and death. But most of the time, it's just fights, and you can handle your business and you move on. Yeah, you might get stuck or something like that, but you know, it's not the end of the world. You can heal. Another thing, find something positive to be involved in, and also don't pull your family in your mess. Do your time. You put yourself there. It's your time. Your family's already doing time with you. Your kids already don't have you. And in a lot of instances, they're going to grow up without you, and the relationship's going to be strained. So you just got to pray and do your best, and hopefully you can have a relationship with them, you know, if you're one of the blessed ones, you know. So figure out what you got to do to improve yourself if you're going to prison, because it's a reality, and just don't go back. Anyway, thanks for watching another episode of Southern Crime and Incarceration. Yeah, my new channel, really new. I don't understand how to navigate this network thing called the internet a whole lot, but give me a like and subscribe as I begin to grow as a channel and as a person who understands the technology to improve my channel. But I appreciate a like and a subscribe. Thank you.